Part 89. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 887. Taoran looked at the 2 pointers on the monitor above his head. Are they the ones used on the map? Is this because they are afraid that their position will be confused and it will be inconvenient to draw a map? In fact, drawing itself is not the most difficult. The difficulty is that there are no physical obstacles to mark this space. This is equivalent to being given a blank piece of paper. Every road, every direction, how to go each time, how far to go, where there are dead ends, you have to remember them all. The only hint that can barely be counted is the fog. At least they can use the foggy areas to confirm which areas they haven't visited yet. In order to confirm again whether the fog would dissipate as long as they walked over it, this time they randomly selected a northwest corner of the platform. Unexpectedly, as soon as they stepped off the steps, they encountered an obstacle. Suddenly a river appeared ahead, blocking the way, and at the same time, piranhas kept jumping out of the water. This shows that this first step is wrong. Being close makes it easier to observe. The small area directly in front of the river disappeared, and the fog disappeared in an instant. In this way, it is a confirmation. Fortunately, we have more people. We will divide the troops into several groups and try our best. It won't be too slow, Taoran comforted him. As long as everyone is careful, or tests like I did with the tiger before, we should be able to clear a large area very quickly. The question is, who will draw the map now? Zhou Chang asked. Where to draw? What to use? The person who draws the picture must have a good memory, must be careful, must be able to navigate the maze, and be able to push forward. And there were so many of them, but they didn't even have a pen. I'll give it a try. Taoran felt that he was the only one left. Looking up at the display above her head, she amplified her mental power again and tried to bring the images on the display directly into her mind. She soon discovered that according to the diagram above, the platform and the entire space were square. Moreover, the length and width of the space are almost 5 times that of the platform. The benefits of being mentally strong are revealed. Taoran tried to lift the entire platform out in his mind and started to flip it. The platform turned to the left twice and coincided with the left edge of the space. Turn right twice and it can be closed with the right edge of the space. It's the same up and down. It can be seen that the relationship between the space and the aspect ratio of the safety platform is 5 times. Once the proportion is known, you only need to measure the length and width of the real platform under your feet to calculate the size of the space. Taoran took out his sword. When selecting from the arsenal, each weapon is introduced in detail. The blade of her sword is exactly 1 meter, which can be used as a reference now. After comparing his sword on the platform a few times, Taoran was 100% sure this time. The platform size is 5 meters by 5 meters. The size of the entire space is 25 meters by 25 meters. This size made everyone breathe a little sigh of relief. Fortunately, it's not too big. At this moment, Huang Mao became smarter. It was 3 meters when we walked to the tiger, and 2 meters when we reached the bamboo shoots. The 3 numbers 2, 3, and 5 have no common denominator other than 1. So the unit of action in this space must be 1 meter. Next every action should be taken in units of 1 meter. Without even breathing, he added, to materialize the space, it's a grid. Or minesweeping. 1 meter long and wide is a grid. 25 times 25, a total of 625 grids, and the platform is 5 times 5. Subtract 25, so what we want to try is 600 squares. Now that we have tried 6 squares, there are only 594 squares left. Except for 1 person drawing the picture and 1 person recording, we still have 6 people. Each person only needs to try and error 99 squares. That's not much at first glance, right? and if we are lucky and find the way out in no time, maybe it will only take a few minutes. Come on, everybody. It was also the first time for everyone present to know that besides having an eloquent mouth, Huang Mao was also so good at math and calculation. Tao Ran had already started drawing pictures in his mind. A square of 25 meters long and wide is marked with lines 1 meter horizontally and vertically. There are densely packed small grids, each grid represents a unit value. Next, everyone will try and make mistakes in terms of length and width in units of 1 meter. Tao Ran sat down cross-legged in the middle of the platform, waiting to fill in the answers in his mind. Her mental strength has been practiced diligently, so she regarded this as a test, and a training. A group of people started trial and error. Once you find the method, experimenting is not difficult. The main test is patience. The first thing they tried and tested was the 20 units around the platform. More people go faster. Because it only takes one step to return to the safe zone of the platform, even Xiaoyan is not afraid. All 20 units were explored in less than 3 minutes. Tao Ran was afraid that she would make mistakes while busy, so she asked Ma Xiaoyuan, who had a good memory, to sit down with her and help her record the results of everyone's tests. She could also check them while filling them in her mind. Just like a minesweeper game, they scanned around the platform and found 7 units that were absolutely safe for further detection. Anyway, we were only 2 meters away from the platform and could rush back to the safe area in 2 steps, so everyone was not conservative. But when you sweep the circle 3 meters outside the platform, the difficulty begins to increase. Xiao and Huang Mao can only walk with others. So, the 6 people divided into 3 groups and started testing. An hour later, the 3 groups turned into 2 groups. The difficulty is still increasing. What's difficult is not only the various strange obstacles, but also because the farther out you go, the more likely each grid is to pass. Moreover, because they are far away from the safety platform, they not only have to concentrate, but they also have to be ready to run back at all times. The key is that the route of running back cannot be wrong. There is no real grid in space, so they can almost only rely on tools to estimate and feel. There was one time when the irritable tiger faced danger and ran in a straight line back to the platform. As a result, several wrong punishments were triggered in succession. The whole journey was simply miserable and heart-rending. Even Tao Ran had to get up and join in the rescue to save such an idiot. As a result, this guy was injured, one arm was temporarily unable to be used, and a pair of pants was broken into a mop. 2 hours later, Huang Mao had been lying on the platform for more than 20 minutes. Tao Ran urged him with a look of disgust on his face, "Didn't you tell everyone to cheer up? Why are you lying down all the time? Then I'll tell you a secret." He lowered his voice. "I just looked at you, Xiaoyan and Zhou Chang, and looked at your future. Stop riddles and just tell the truth. I'm sure that tomorrow we will all still be in this space. We are still struggling to find a way out." Tao Ran was speechless. "So we can't go out today? Captain, just stay calm and don't be impatient. Get some rest. Thank you to the book friend whose tale number is 15,127 for the reward. Show your heart. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss." Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 888. Although Huang Mao's words are unreliable, so far, every one of his predictions has never failed. So although Tao Ran was unwilling to give up, he was disappointed in his heart. She also didn't expect that the space in this level was obviously artificially created, but there was still today and tomorrow in time. As you see tomorrow, where is the maze where we are? There Huang Mao pointed with his hand, almost near the cells in the 5th and 6th circles. It can't be that slow. They basically cleared most of the 4-meter area around the platform. Although the farther you go, the wider the area, and the harder it is to return, it's not just that small. Why did I lie to you? I just feel depressed, so I have no energy left. You are so sad, Taoran was upset. She was originally in high spirits, but now that he was making such a fuss, most of her energy was gone and she felt depressed. So, Taoran kicked Huang Mao off the platform with one kick. The guy screamed, "Aren't I just afraid of disturbing everyone, so I kept this matter a secret? I told you the secret, you woman, you are so cruel." Huang Mao still wanted to run back, but as soon as Taoran poked out the dog-beating stick, he pushed him down to a safety grid 1 meter away. Huang Mao, who didn't dare to go back, could only curse and continue to find the way. An hour later, Taoran understood why they wouldn't make much progress tomorrow. She once again scolded the system for being too screwy. Because the originally white and bright space is getting darker little by little. Damn it, who would have thought that there would be day and night in such a virtual space? This is forcing them to slow down their level. That's outrageous. Because from their perspective, the 24th floor above and the 23rd floor below are still bright. Even the staircase that vaguely connected the floors was bright. Do you think they have the darkest time here? When night falls, if there is no fog, they can still think of something. But even if they manage to light a torch, the visibility would be too low. For example, just now Zhou Chang didn't believe in evil, so he tried to break through under poor lighting conditions. He was already very careful. He followed Taoran's example before and completely touched the cell in front. There was no situation in the thick fog and he was very safe. But he never expected that a second after he stood up completely, the cell suddenly collapsed without any warning. Thanks to his strong personal ability, he pulled his elbows back to grab the rear safety barrier, and with the help of his friends, he was able to drag him up. After that, he naturally cursed and called the system mean. All 8 people finally asked the assistant to report their dissatisfaction and complaint requests on their respective screens. Of course, it was of no use. The system was as dead as there was no reply at all. So that means they're going to waste a whole night. At night, Taoran did not act rashly, but reviewed the map he had memorized in his mind several times. She didn't know how long this dark night would last, and she was afraid that she would forget and waste all her efforts. She simply sat cross-legged and meditated, crossing the map while practicing her mental strength. When the light gradually turned bright above the space, everyone woke up and began a new round of trial and error. The first thing Taoran did was to find Huang Mao to confirm where they would be tomorrow. But Huang Mao couldn't even tell that his ability seemed to be banned by the game. I'm sorry, he understood the situation and jumped directly into trial and error. Taoran, whose waist was sore and his legs were weak, also stood up and planned to stretch his muscles. However, everyone found that today's difficulty has increased compared to the previous day. Each grid has a delay. Whether you can move or not will not be reflected immediately, but will be revealed after a few seconds. This caused them to make frequent mistakes and suffer losses, resulting in very slow progress. Like Xiaoyan, Xiaoyu and Huang Mao, their abilities are completely unable to participate in the trial and error team. As you go to the outer circle, there are more cells to remember, and the chance of making mistakes increases. In the first hour of this new day, they spent much more time busy with rescue than they did with trial and error. Progress has been greatly slowed down. This is not okay. So, Taoran suggested that everyone take out all the junk they didn't use and that everyone had, such as white gloves, daggers, and other junk that they got from the lottery. They quickly gathered nearly 100 props. Taoran took Xiaoyan and the others and placed daggers and other props in the existing safe cells. This way, it was clear at a glance. Why didn't you do this sooner? Did not expect. Taoran himself also helped the team explore the roads of almost 10 units in one go before he was exhausted. Too difficult. The most exaggerated time was when she stood on the cell for 5 seconds before a critical hit came to her with a lag. A few hours later, They had only explored the farthest path to almost the seventh circle of grids from the platform. They knew in their hearts that if this continued, it would still be difficult to get out of the maze today. Really? It soon became dark. They had to pause the action again. They didn't expect that they would waste 2 days and nights on this level. And something even less pleasant happened. Not long after it got dark here, they saw someone on the 23rd floor stairs rushing up to the 24th floor. They were surpassed. My eyes were fixed on that figure, and I saw that after reaching the 24th floor platform, the man did not go inside, but kept going up. It could be seen that the man had also jumped many floors of the tower. This made them even more disappointed. After everyone fell asleep in the middle of the night, Taoran and Yingying discovered that someone had passed the 23rd floor 3 more times. Except for one person who was traveling alone, the remaining 2 groups were traveling in groups. Including the person who went first, there were now 8 people walking faster than them. Taoran was no longer calm. As soon as it got light, she started working. Not long after, they saw 3 more people going up to the 24th floor, and everyone was inevitably a little more impatient. If this continues, they will fall far behind. Trouble continues. During one of George's trials and errors, he suddenly encountered a tornado. The wind was so strong that it affected the surrounding area, causing all the props in the 3 circles around that cell to be moved out of position. George was confused for a moment, unable to retreat, and hit several mistakes in succession. Taoran made great achievements. The safe zone engraved in her mind came in handy. She appeared in time to help George save the day. The tiger faced a warrior while exploring the road. The samurai struck with a sword, but the tiger dodged. But the power of that knife was so frightening that it directly confused the placement of dozens of props. In this way, even though the 8 people worked hard, after about 2 hours of work, there was still a third of the entire field with thick fog. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 889. Taoran didn't want to live in this depressing space tonight. As time passed, she secretly made up her mind to go out tonight. But, it's really not simple. Even with the guidance of props, their journey was much easier every time. However, many routes are complicated, circuitous, and back and forth, making people dizzy, and they have long lost the sense of clarity. And as you move towards the outer circle, you can walk, and the number of cells used to confuse people begins to increase, and their props are not enough. They gathered another round of props, but the system went against them once. A gold-eating beast appeared in one grid and swallowed a circle of daggers around the grid. However, this still did not stop their determination to leave. When they couldn't come up with so many props, they found a way. For example, Tiger's pants, which had been torn into mops, were simply cut into several strips. A section of Taoran's rope was also taken out and cut into multiple sections. It's getting dark. All their flashlights were turned on, and the few people who stayed on the platform helped with lighting. Taoran and Yingying each chose one of the most promising routes that stretched for more than 30 grids and began to test out. Relying on their good skills, the 2 of them moved forward almost silently. Taoran was even more desperate. She didn't care about the delay of each cell and didn't wait for anything. In order to maximize the time, she almost went on a rampage. She rushed too hard, and sometimes there were thunders for several blocks in a row, but with her own skills, she managed to get through it. So when the eagle had finished looking for 2 dead ends, Taoran had already looked for 4 suspected routes. The route Taoran was looking for now looked very promising. It was only 1 cell away from the westernmost edge. However, her last step was blocked. Dead end. It's exactly the same as the previous roads. She couldn't help but laugh. When it came to luck in the survival game, she never expected surprises every time. The sky has completely darkened. Ma Xiaoyuan went through the entire investigation and calculation, and found that there were only the last two paths left. Taoran took the southern route. She moved quickly, and after spending more than 10 minutes walking through all the foggy cells along this road and in front of her, she confirmed again that this was another dead end. Then, the right path is the one with the eagle. Taoran walked back with resentment, only to find that the eagle was still on the platform and had not left at all. He chuckled. Sister, you once again used your strength to prove that your choices are used to eliminate wrong answers. I really owe it. Just as Taoran was about to kick him out, the guy smiled playfully again. Actually, I am slow and can't see clearly, so I won't be embarrassed. You are the captain, you should lead everyone out. This road is yours. Bar. He made a gesture of invitation. Taoran sneered at him. Each one is better than a monkey. Just lazy. Just cowardly. Just take advantage of her. Taoran began to test this road step by step. It was really a complicated road. As Xiaoan first judged, she first took 2 steps to the north, then turned all the way to the west. This process was like an electrocardiogram, going up and down several times. When she saw that she was approaching the west edge, after a southward turn, there was another diagonal line. Run to the east, then make several turns back, and the final exit is to the south and west. Most people really can't walk this route. Not only did they walk all the way to the southeast, northwest, but they also almost followed it and turned back several times. During this period, a large number of fog cells were calculated. The whole process can be very tiring for a person. It took Taoran more than half an hour to basically walk through this route. It's safe to step on the last step. Done. The maze path is clear. There was only one more step to leave, but Taoran held back. She let the others go first and turned back. It turned out that she had gone to recycle props such as dagger gloves that were placed on the ground to make extra signs. How could everyone let her do this alone, so they all wanted to help. She declined, saying she could do it herself. However, everyone was so embarrassed that they naturally insisted on helping. Indeed, at the beginning, everyone could lend a hand and help collect the nearby props, but they soon discovered that after collecting some of the props, they forgot the location of each safety grid, and they also forgot the correct way to leave. How to go? Taoran would cause trouble for her if he even scolded these guys. Fortunately, she remembered every location clearly. For the past 2 nights, she had done almost nothing else but memorize and practice. After nearly 3 days of highly stressful and intensive memory tasks, she could feel that her mental strength, like her internal strength, was getting stronger day by day. So in this regard, this level is not without gain. After sending everyone to the exit and recovering more than 90% of the props, Taoran turned back to the exit step by step. The other 7 people admired her even more. I saw her walk all this way with my own eyes, and she didn't even make a mistake in every step. That's awesome. After 3 days, 8 people finally came out of the space crack. When they came out, they happened to be on the stairs from the 23rd floor to the 24th floor. Several people inevitably snorted at the same time. Because the stairs are bright, but there is no feeling of darkness at all. Why? The entire game in the tower was chaotic, and there was no telling how much discrepancy there was between the 3 days they spent in the gap and the time they spent with other players. The 8 people threw the unorganized props on the stairs, preparing to put their belongings back into the portable system. To the surprise of the 8 people, they heard 2 jingles at the same time. 2 system messages. Well, the system is finally alive. One was the so-called compensation that was long overdue. Each of them received 2,000 points. The points of 8 people, including Tao Ran, have all bottomed out, and now the points that fell from the sky are indeed what everyone needs urgently. The second news is their reward for clearing the most difficult space rift. They each got 2 no punishment draws. Everyone wanted to vomit when they saw the word luck draw, so no one was in a hurry to open the carousel. Just as the 8 people were about to put their things away, Tao Ran and Yingying raised their heads almost at the same time. The other 6 people looked around and found several people standing in the corner above the stairs. At one point, it was a group of 6 people. The 8 people from Tao Ran were busy picking up props and preparing to leave in the space. They really didn't notice that 5 more people had just climbed up the stairs one step faster than them. The 6 people looked like they were not a good person, so they stopped him on the stairs and sat down. If you want to go up there, you have to do something. One of them, a bald man, crossed his chest and crossed his legs condescendingly. His eyes also glanced at Xiaoan and Tao Ran, and finally stopped at Tao Ran. That sight, there was an obvious change. At first he was full of interest, but then he hesitated and thought. At the moment of freezing, there was an inexplicable hatred flashing through. The corner of the bald man's mouth twitched, and his eyes staring at Tao Ran gradually turned into one determined to win. Tao Ran naturally knew that the man was not attracted to her, because she also remembered who this man was. Hey, this guy is the accomplice of the middle-aged man who was kicked out of the game after he complained before the game started. This is a narrow encounter. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 890. Zhou Chang went forward to negotiate, hoping that the 6 people could get out of the way immediately. The leader of the bald man laughed. Yes. But there are 3 requirements. He has estimated everyone's strength. Although the opposing team has 8 people, there are 2 more than them. But the other party has 2 girls, 1 child, and a yellow-haired man who looks like a soft-footed shrimp. At a glance, the man with the murderous look on his face and the guy who came up to negotiate seemed to have some strength at most. Unlike his own team, the 6 of them are all elite soldiers, all warriors with practical bonuses. Then what else is he afraid of? 3 requirements. First, give us all the supplies behind you. Baldy and the others blocked the road because they saw the batch of daggers and gloves. Good guy, there are at least 100 or 200 items in this place and both stairs, right? With so many supplies, they are naturally jealous. White gloves can be synthesized into golden gloves. After wearing them, the strength will be enhanced, which is very useful. 4 of the 6 of them have strength bonuses, and with the golden gloves, 1 strength can defeat 10, which is beautiful to think about. Of course the dagger is also needed. This kind of dagger is of average quality and wears out too much. They have used dozens of them, so naturally the more the better. Moreover, this thing does not take up any weight when placed in the system package, and there is no need to carry it on your back, which is the best. Second, keep that woman for us. He pointed to Tao Ran, of course. This woman didn't stop even before she entered the game. Her eldest brother just wanted to make friends, but she dared to complain without giving him face. As a result, his eldest brother fell short and was kicked out of the game. With this tone, he had to give it to his elder brother no matter what. Third, tell me honestly, where did you just come out of? The 6 of them went upstairs very carefully, so when 8 people suddenly fell from the sky and appeared behind them, they were shocked. They suspected that these 8 people had secrets on their bodies. They should have come from a good place just now, and the white gloves and daggers on the ground should be trophies. How could the 6 of them not be tempted? So they lined up in a row and blocked the stairs. If you want to go up, you have to get past them no matter what. If you are aware of the above 3 items, you should know how to do them. Otherwise, he. The bald man had 2 more daggers in his hand. His hands were quite flexible, and he started working with his left and right hands, spinning the dagger in his hands at high speed. Otherwise, we will not show mercy. They have thought about it, even if the other party only agrees to one thing, they will still make money. Dreaming in broad daylight, Zhou Chang took a step forward with a smile. You. Get out of here. How dare you make demands of me? Tiger went out angrily. No one is capable anymore. After one of his hands was injured, Chaoran's dog-beating stick was given to him. At this moment, he was playing with the stick in his hand, and the power was no weaker than the opponent's dagger. George also stood in front of Chaoran and secretly took out his weapon. Chaoran felt very comforted. I am not the captain for nothing. At critical moments, everyone knows to protect her. Chaoran snorted secretly, but his acting skills were already on his face, his eyes showed fear, and he hid behind the ferocious tiger. The bald man opposite was annoyed. What? Do you want to have a big fight? Farewell, Chaoran said weakly, with a pitiful look on his face. I don't know anything, and I only got here because of everyone's protection. I can't go to your place. But I can tell you the third secret you just requested. To tell you the truth, we just came from the treasure space, but only I know how to open the space. I'll tell you how to open it, and you can just let me go, okay? Chaoran's voice was trembling, and the image of the weak and trembling little white rabbit couldn't be seen to be fake at all, but it made Tiger and the others a little uncomfortable. However, a few people were used to it. Knowing that she must have a plan when she spoke, they didn't say anything and gave the initiative to the captain. The eyes of the 6 people across from him were straightened. What? Treasure space? Is there any way to turn it on? So as they expected, the dagger gloves all over the floor were obtained from the treasure space. The bald man immediately smiled with a smile on his face. Haha, we are destined to meet each other. You are a little girl, how can we men embarrass you? We are teasing you. Little sister, don't be afraid. In this way, you tell me the secret, how about just letting you go? Laugh. Killing people, stealing goods, kidnapping and stealing votes are common occurrences. Originally, he was just testing it, but he never thought that there really was a secret in it. Anyway, let's get the secret out first. He also observed several other people across from him. When the girl suggested that the treasure space was her secret, the others showed no reaction and did not object, which showed that what she said was true. So, the bald man took a step forward. In order to show his kindness, he not only put down the dagger in his hand, but also extended his hand. Little sister, can you rest assured now? Come and tell your secret. But Chaoran was still a little scared and hid behind the tiger. I can only tell one of you to know my secret. Bald man, just tell me. I just scared you, I apologize. Then I hope you keep your word. Let us go. I promise. Chaoran nodded and weakly climbed up the 3 stairs. Bald man also hurriedly went down a few stairs. Chaoran was still a little scared and walked slowly. The bald man grinned evilly and quickly walked down a few steps. In the middle of the stairs, the 2 faced each other, separated by 3 steps. The bald man saw that the girl was afraid, so he took the initiative to take another step. Chaoran put on a stiff smile, took another obvious deep breath, and then slowly approached the bald man. I can help you go to the treasure space. Getting there is very simple. Yeah, the bald man moved a little closer, wanting to put his ears close to her. But it depends on one's luck. Whether you can get in or not is not certain. There are all kinds of treasures there, such as this one. Chaoran opened his backpack, and the bald man stretched his neck a little more, and looked at I threw it in, wanting to see what treasures this woman had in her bag. Hands up, legs hooked, sidestepping, knee attack, a flip, all in one go in the blink of an eye. The next second, before the people above him could react, with a scream, the bald man was thrown down into the pitch-black hole at the bottom of the stairs by Tao Ran. Tao Ran snorted. If they hadn't been unable to figure out the opponent's strength and abilities, they would have attacked them long ago without the opponent's threat. Why bother talking so much? Knowing that the other party was cautious, she lured him step by step, letting him relax his vigilance while focusing all his attention on the treasure, and took the initiative to leave the team and get closer to her. As long as the distance is enough, Tao Ran will be more confident. With her fighting skills, no matter how powerful an ordinary person is, it would be difficult for them to escape from her grasp. If she were to catch him by surprise, it would be even more guaranteed. Well, she didn't lie. She tried her best to help the bald man enter a new space. Whether he can get in or not depends on his own destiny. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 891. It turned out that when Zhou Chang came forward to negotiate, Tao Ran had already opened her assistant and asked a question quietly. Is it okay to fight on the stairs between floors? There won't be any punishment, right? The assistant replied, after level 20, you are out of the novice village. The restrictions are not that big. Moreover, this game has a lot of freedom. Since it doesn't say that fighting is not allowed, it should be okay. Ah, very good. She planned to take action at that time. As for the goal, it's naturally whichever one is the most awesome. The eagle heard her whisper and knew that she was going to take action, so he was already ready to respond. At this moment, when the bald man was thrown down the stairs, the eagle had already rushed up to help. But when the opponent panicked, Tao Ran moved forward instead of retreating. He used his speed to the extreme and jumped directly over a buck-toothed man who was charging down angrily from above. The buck-toothed man was already panicking when she ignored him. I never expected that the woman who was weaker than the little white rabbit just now would actually be of such strength. And could this woman who dared to act on her own without consulting the rest of the team be the real leader of the other team? The buck-toothed man was really worried. In this way, wouldn't he be separated from his brothers? Sure enough, as soon as the woman made a move, the remaining 7 people from the opponent also rushed forward. When Bucktooth saw something was wrong, he turned around and ran away. Who would have thought that a person whose skills were not much worse than that woman's was already at his side? This person is naturally the eagle. Eagle only gave him a moment, then just like Tao Ran, he ignored him and continued to go up to support. After Tao Ran passed by Buckteeth, the other 4 people hurriedly turned around and started to run away. Naturally, Tao Ran couldn't agree. If they entered the 24th floor, the 8 people on their side wouldn't be able to get in. Wouldn't it mean that these people would run away? So, while she rushed up quickly, she also flew 3 daggers out. With such a big target, such a close distance, and her accuracy so good, there is no reason why she could miss it. The 2 guys were knocked down immediately and fell on the stairs. Tao Ran jumped over them again and chased after the 2 people who had quickly reached the platform. Finally, she stopped the 2 of them before they rushed into the 24th floor. Tao Ran tried so hard to stop them, not out of revenge or to vent his hatred, but because he was afraid that the spring breeze would blow again soon. She is not ready to kill anyone, but she knows very well that the reason why this group of people are so arrogant is simply that they have formed a powerful group. So, she wants to break this group. Let them easily no longer form a gang to cause trouble for themselves in the future. So these people, one after another, were thrown down the stairs at a moment's notice. They fell one after another, and the floors and spaces they fell on would most likely not be together. Only the buck-toothed man begged, and Tao Ran and the others let him go and allowed him to escape into the mission area on the 24th floor. In this way, the chance that the 6 opponents will meet again in the short term will be quite low. They are not afraid of guys who work alone. Tiger snorted, it's easier for them to say it. Not only is it a false alarm, they will also know the secret of the fall. We spent a lot of points on the captain to know this secret. Didn't they get paid too? Zhou Chang picked up 4 bags from the corner of the stairs. It's funny to say that those people were planning to rob, so in order to minimize their burden, they actually hid their bags in the corner of the stairs. It's a pity that these people want to rob other people's garbage. What good things can they have in their bags? That is, some dry food and a flashlight. The 8 people were afraid that someone would go upstairs and cause trouble again, so they quickly collected all the daggers, gloves, and other items scattered on the stairs, and divided up the supplies they had just obtained. Since all 6 of them could only reach the 28th floor, and they were about to part ways, Taoran gave half of his daggers to Huang Mao, Xiaoyan, and Ma Xiaoyuan, their weaker partners. After thinking about it, Taoran gave the golden gloves he synthesized to Xiaoyan. Who calls her the weakest? This glove is more useful for you, Taoran thought, as he was only 1 step away from synthesizing his pass card. This golden glove came easily. When she upgrades to assistant, she should be able to fit it again. Although you are lucky and can avoid danger most of the time in the game, this game tests human nature too much. To put it bluntly, human nature is more dangerous than the game. Especially us women, it is more difficult most of the time. Taoran glanced at the tiger. She has not forgotten that when we first met, Tiger bullied Xiaoyan. Tiger understood and raised his hands directly. I am just a poor talker. I have never done anything bad to you, right? Taoran, maybe what Tiger said is true. But it's also possible that he doesn't dare to do anything because we are strong. So you keep the golden gloves. If you are strong, others will be afraid. Xiaoyan thanked her several times and said she would make good use of this gift. Soon, we arrived at the 28th floor platform. 6 teammates have already sensed the repulsive feeling coming from above. Everyone sued each other. Hopefully we can meet soon. Taoran smiled, maybe we can meet in a fairy tale next time. Maybe the next story will be about Snow White. After patting her chest, she traced her fingers across the other 7 people, and her 7 little ones dwarf. There was a string of noises coming from the other side, and everyone turned around and went to their own floors. Taoran and Zhou Chang were left in the 8-person team. The 2 of them continued upward. Soon, they came to another resting level. After the 2 agreed that the person who came out first would be responsible for waking up the other person, they each swiped their number plates and entered their own spaces. This time, it's different from last time. The environment makes people laugh as soon as it appears. Taoran found himself back home, that is, the villa. As soon as she entered the house, her whole body relaxed a lot. The fatigue all over my body hit me instantly. Comfortable slippers, soft sofas, warm sunshine, and a cozy bedroom that makes you want to lie down and take a nap. Unfortunately, the system probably didn't know that this villa was not her home, but a rented one. So although Taoran was used to living in this home, she never felt a sense of belonging in her heart. Moreover, although she likes to stay at home, she rarely sits on the sofa or lies on the bed. To be precise, she spent much more time practicing and meditating on the bamboo chair in the back garden than on the bed or sofa. At home, she not only has to work hard to survive, practice martial arts and practice, but also has to work hard to make money to pay the rent, draw talisman to make extra money, and is trying to find a way to pursue her dream again. Therefore, this home is really not a place to relax for her who works hard to make progress and is always tense. Therefore, this environment is almost ineffective. Taoran quickly came out of the illusion. Then, just like on the 20th floor, she sat on the platform, called Zhou Chang through the loudspeaker, and summoned her assistant. Thank you Xiaoao for the reward, thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 892. Tao Ran didn't forget that the space mezzanine just gave out 2 penalty-free draws. The lottery wheel spun quickly. This time, her luck was not as good as last time. She didn't get the ability bonus, nor did she get the point reward she needed most now. The reason why she needed points was that she just checked and found that after adding 2,000 points, her points were still only over 4,000. The next time you upgrade your assistant, you need 8,000 points, which is still early. After several upgrades, the assistant obviously knew more, so she planned to upgrade as much as possible. The first time the roulette wheel stopped, she drew a random prize of a question mark. After it is opened, it is an opportunity to provide shelter. Used in times of danger, she can hide in the shelter for up to an hour. In the other draw, you get the mall selection. Among the few choices, she chose a potion that could be used to replenish her physical strength and double her strength at critical moments. I have to say, if the old ones don't go away, the new ones won't come. If you give away the golden gloves, you'll get a more powerful potion. Zhou Chang finally came out of the resting space after Tao ran through dozens of speakers. His condition was no worse than Tao Ran's, and he looked very tired. These spaces can capture our weaknesses and desires. If we are not careful, we can easily sink there. We must be more careful in the future, he couldn't help but tell Tao Ran. The 31st floor arrived soon, and the two said goodbye. Zhou Chang is about to leave, and Tao Ran has to go to the 37th floor. Remember to catch up quickly. Otherwise, I will be bored by myself. I will definitely work hard. Zhou Chang entered the 31st floor space. Tao Ran started walking alone. To be honest, this feeling of sending people away one by one is a bit irritating. She asked her assistant, "What's my current ascending speed?" When they were in the space gap, at least nearly 20 people passed them. Many of these people should have entered each tower level to do tasks. Tao Ran is very curious about his current results. But the assistant said that the permissions were not enough and that the query could only be made after upgrading. "But sister, I'm still the highest level assistant in the entire game. Since no one has surpassed us, it's obvious that they don't have enough points." "Don't worry, sister, your ranking must be at the front." Putting aside his slight dissatisfaction, Tao Ran mobilized his enthusiasm and then simply started running up the stairs. When she reached the 34th floor, she finally saw someone. She saw 2 people walking together and entered the 35th floor directly. So it's very possible that someone has already run ahead of her. "Comrade, you have to work hard." Tao Ran walked into the 37th floor and started her solo mission. It didn't take long for her to panic. She was panicking, not because this level was unlike what she had experienced before, with no NPCs or any storyline, but because of the entire environment. A vast white space, a display screen, and nothing else. This environment is exactly the same as the answer space in the last survival game. That time, she couldn't even pass the kindergarten questions, and ended up with a negative score, even worse than a child. No way. Looking at the screen, I couldn't help but sigh slightly. Isn't this the answer to the question? Also, the game has been involved in all aspects so far, and knowledge is naturally indispensable. I clicked on the screen, and words began to scroll. The rules are quite simple: complete all questions within the specified time. Number of questions, unknown. Time, unknown. Difficulty, random. Note: players are advised to note that each time the challenge fails, the difficulty will increase slightly. It is recommended that players are ready before starting. Tao Ran quickly pressed the start button. But I never expected that the question to be answered this time was actually a math question. "What are you afraid of?" After opening the question, the timer starts. Taoran felt relieved when he saw it. It was addition and subtraction. But these questions are all about addition and subtraction within 100. For example, 69 add 57, 93 minus 49 and so on. Did you learn it in the first or second grade of elementary school? What do you mean? Taoran deeply felt the system's contempt. Too much. Who are you looking down on? No matter how bad she is at math, she can't even do addition and subtraction, right? Since it was a timed question, she did not dare to waste time and quickly started answering it. There are 30 questions in total. What's so difficult about this? However, Taoran was slapped in the face. When she reached the 16th question, 4 bold red words popped up on the screen: timeout failed. At that moment, she was stunned. Because the limited time is 40 seconds. There are 30 questions in 40 seconds, which basically means you have to answer 1 question per second. That is to say, the answer must be given immediately after reading it. But it takes time for her to input, okay. She still had to make sure it was correct, the time was too short. Sure enough, it's not simple. Because she failed a challenge, the screen showed that her answer time in the next round would be penalized by 1 second. Depression suddenly came along with tension. Taoran didn't dare to try again, for fear that he would be penalized again if he was not careful. She has average arithmetic, it's a natural. When the number is high, she has to think about it. Addition was okay, but subtraction was like 73 minus 26, and she had to think for at least half a second. What can be done? She could only calm down and start practicing addition and subtraction. After 5 minutes of preparation, she started again. This time the situation was much better than before. When one question was in progress, she tried to divert some of her mental energy to the next question, which greatly shortened the time. But this time when she reached question 27, the time was up. Just a few seconds off. This time, she was penalized 2 seconds. The next round of challenge time is only 37 seconds. I'm very speechless. If I can't pass the next round, will I have to take a 3-second penalty? There is also a note below, saying that if this level cannot be completed within 2 hours, the player will be randomly lowered by 1-5 levels. Irritated, Taoran calmed down, crossed the plate, and then took out Tanyu's mental power and practiced it in 2 ways. Perhaps, this method can make up for the clumsiness. There is also a benefit to being mentally strong, which is a good memory. She simply memorized the subtraction results of those big numbers. She started again 2/4 of an hour later. This time, she finally passed the 36th second. Naturally, this level cannot be that simple. The fog began to clear ahead. The screen in front of Taoran also changed. This time she was asked to memorize the answers to the 30 questions she had just completed within 2 minutes. As before, the difficulty increases further with each failure. Only the countdown and the previous question were left on the display. For Taoran, this test of memory is quite simple. In less than 2 minutes, after her mental strength was fully deployed, she remembered it after just reading it once. After reviewing it several times, she waited for the countdown to end. As soon as the number jumped to 0, the system text scrolled past, asking her to get up and follow the instructions. There are signs on the foggy road ahead. After following the sign for 3 minutes, I saw another monitor with a wicker chair behind it. Taoran sat up as requested. But the moment he sat on it, the wicker chair shook wildly. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 893. Taoran took a closer look and found that the wicker chair was connected to 4 wires that were only as thick as fishing line. Totally unstable, okay. The whole chair was shaking, as if she moved even a little bit, the chair would fall with her. What's even more frightening is that the ground beneath my feet has become empty at some point. The ground disappeared, and it was pitch black below, like a deep well, with no bottom visible. Looking up, it was also empty. The chair is still shaking, and my feet can't reach the ground. It feels like they are hanging in the air. I feel insecure, and I feel very nervous. The rules are also out. This level can go directly to the next level. Now, the player is on the ascending channel. Invite players to recall the 30 sets of numbers they just memorized. Next, there will be a set of number rattans from 0 to 9 in front of you. Players are asked to pull the answers of each set upwards by pulling the rattan. Players are asked to sit on the chair. Steady, enjoy this game. Note, once a wrong answer is entered, the seat will lose connection and fall immediately. 70% of the players will restart the level, and the remaining 30% of the players will fall straight down to the first to fifth floors. After restarting this level, as previously informed, it will be slightly more difficult to memorize numbers. Taoran couldn't help but open his mouth. Needless to say, this level may be difficult for many people. Compared to the previous calculations, it is really a piece of cake. For people with bad memories and timid people, after walking here for so long and being frightened several times, the answer must be blurry now, right? Then think about the terrible consequences that may be faced if you fail. You have to be afraid of falling, and you have to be afraid of the eerie black hole below. It is difficult not to be affected at this time. Especially those players who are unlucky. If they are unlucky and fall straight to the fifth level, will they cry to death? The psychological demands are too great. Taoran took a deep breath and began her challenge. Her first answer was 91. After selecting the number 9 cane, she stretched out her hand and pulled it. It was also with this pull that she realized that this test was far more than what she had just analyzed. Rattan is heavy. She saw that the rules said that you had to pull the cane to move up, so she deliberately used a little force, at least 50% of the strength. But she pulled so hard that only the wire on the left side of the chair beneath her rose by almost 10 centimeters. It's sloppy, it should be done more vigorously. Her strength was so weak that only one wire moved. So, the chair is tilted. Her whole body slid to the right side of the chair. Taoran, who had a bad premonition, wisely took out her non-slip gloves. After putting on the gloves, she learned her lesson and used about 60% of her strength to pull down the number 1 cane. Along with this, the chair made a ding, indicating that the first number was correct. But at the same time, Taoran couldn't hold it in any longer, so he let out a curse word. There was nothing she could do. This game is too broken. Only then did she realize that she had only pulled a little bit of the wire with 50% of her strength, not because it had to pull her whole body and the chair up, which was heavy and not strong enough, but because each rattan required different strength to pull. Number 9 is probably the hardest to pull and requires the most strength. And number 0, number 1, such decimals, can go up a lot with just a slight pull. Only then did she understand that the reason why only one wire moved in the previous pull was not because she used too little force, but because each digit in the answer represented a wire. For example, she used to pull tens digits, so the left front wire went up. Now she pulls single digits, and the right front wire goes up. Taoran felt very sad because of her current posture. Just imagine it. The upward movement of the number 1 wire required very little force, but she pulled hard, and as a result, the right front wire suddenly moved up almost 1 meter. So now the chair under Taoran is in the shape of a slash. But it would have been better if it was just a slash number, but the 2 wires at the back did not move at all, so the chair leaned back directly after being suddenly pulled. At that moment, Taoran almost fell backwards and was lifted out of the chair. If she hadn't put on her gloves earlier and caught her at the critical moment, she might have been in trouble this time. She held the chair carefully, and finally stabilized herself at the slight square root on the lower left side of the chair. Too vicious. No wonder I just said sit tight and enjoy it. It comes out one after another, never letting anyone feel at ease. And here comes the question, the tens digit is the left front wire, and the single digit is the right front wire. What does that represent? The two wires at the back? The chair is turned over. If it is not adjusted, the angle will become larger and larger. Then the wire will not break in the end, right? Then shouldn't she fly out sooner or later? Headache. Etc. What is the second set of numbers? Taoran quickly calmed down and recalled the 30 groups of numbers again. She finally understood that this test was not just about arithmetic, but also about memory, mentality, strength, endurance, and balance. It was all about a person's comprehensive ability. Whenever your mentality is a bit broken, whenever you cannot adjust your mental state, whenever you are timid, it will affect your memory and affect the performance of your abilities. Taoran's second set of numbers is 27. Very good, just used to test the strength. She used too much force for the 10 digits, and sure enough, the left front wire went up at once, and she finally returned from the flip slash state to the reluctant dash state. Unfortunately, the seat fell back even further. After the chair reached a barely balanced state, Taoran was afraid of flipping out, so he only used very small force to pull all the figures that followed. But, after entering the third number, she suddenly discovered that the beeps emitted by the chair seemed different. The sound is different every time. Isn't this the system sound? Why are the notification sounds from the system different? Taoran had a sharp mind and took good note of the voice just now. Then she waited for a different set of numbers, 131. There is an extra 100 digit. She intuitively felt that this number had something to do with the wire behind it. For the first one, she used a little more force. Thankfully, the right rear rope, which had been untouched, was tightened quite a bit. According to this rule, will the left rear wire only have a single-digit number? After finally passing 3 numbers and waiting for a single digit, she completely wrapped her legs around the chair, grabbed a wire with her right hand, and exerted all her strength, pulling almost with all her strength. Finally, she guessed correctly. The wire at the rear left finally went up 1.5 meters. Now her chair is finally in a normal state. She could finally safely control the upward force through numbers and balance on the 4 wires. She was finally able to confirm that the system had emitted several types of tones so far. It's repetitive, irregular, and very strange. Thank you for the tip from Shuchen Tanzi baby, I love you more. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 894. Since there were very few answers to hundreds and single digits, in order to maintain balance, Taoran controlled the force with which he pulled each number to be very small. So when all 30 numbers were finished, she had actually risen less than 3 meters. As soon as I accurately pulled out the last number, the scene in front of me suddenly became clear and completely changed. We've arrived. A huge 38 is already hanging above the head. The hollow underfoot also disappeared and turned into flat ground. Taoran walked into the new space on the 38th floor. Like the previous floor, there is a display screen in the center. There was something like a xylophone on the ground, except that it was missing 7 keys. Words floated across the display, saying that they should have all heard a wonderful, different, pleasant tinkling sound just now. These are the calls made by the lost keys of this ancient xylophone to return to the body, so the player's task is to accurately find the 7 keys belonging to the xylophone among the 30 keys scattered everywhere. Ha! What is supposed to come has finally come. Just say that the sound coming from the seat was weird just now, but it turned out to be here. But the good thing about this level is that you have 3 choices. Instead of being eliminated after 1 mistake. The rules show, if you pass once, you will be rewarded. If you fail 3 times, you will go back to the previous level and start the challenge from the beginning. Taoran sighed, thanks to the fact that he had realized early on that the system's beeps would be different each time he gave an answer and deliberately remembered them, so those sounds were already engraved in his mind. So now, even though the total number of keys is 30 yuan, and although the timbre of each key is not much different, she still didn't make a single mistake, and found all 7 keys very accurately and quickly. Taoran received a 1,000-point reward. The stairs appear and you can continue going up. 39 levels. As soon as he walked in, Taoran wanted to turn around. What she saw before her was a large Rubik's Cube. She won't. She has never had any fun. When she was a child, she thought it was boring, but when she grew up, she thought it was a waste of time. She didn't know how to play at all. After the rules came out, she suddenly felt like a contestant on a brain power show. Ask her to start walking from a special color block on side of the Rubik's Cube, avoid all the red and blue blocks on the Rubik's Cube, connect to a certain color block on side E, and draw a plan view of the correct route that passes the fewest color blocks. There is no time limit, you can escape if you successfully draw it. The disadvantage is that there are too many distractions. Each row of the Rubik's Cube moves once every second, and each column rotates 2 spaces every 3 seconds. Taoran was confused after reading the rules, and even more dizzy when he looked at the Rubik's Cube. What's so fun about this Rubik's Cube? If she was still, she could still try to find a route, but this time around, she was completely stupid. Okay. Tired? Taoran simply fell to the ground and opened his assistant. Why are there so many things I hate in these levels? Arithmetic, numbers, space-based Rubik's Cubes. Sister. The assistant's voice was deliberately soft, you have to be mentally prepared. Even if you pass level 40, there will be similar levels before level 50. What? Taoran was shocked and sat up again. Speak clearly. Do you still remember that there was a category selection in the initial level? At that time, you had already analyzed that the main background of the entire game is actually divided into 4 parts, namely fairy tales, science, folklore, and legends. Most of the buildings in front of the 25th floor of the tower are fairy tale backgrounds. Between 26 and 50 is the science category. The levels from 50 to 75 are folk customs, and those from the 100th level to the 100th level are legends. The end of the 100 levels is a comprehensive test. So I'm in the science category now. Yes, science is all-encompassing. Mathematics, physics, astronomy, geography, music, etc. are actually included in it. There will be 9 levels after that, all about these. Taoran fell back again. Then plus her current level, there are a total of 10 levels that test knowledge and brain power. There is no doubt that after these 10 levels, she will be ranked in the top 50 in the entire game. Congratulations. The little assistant didn't know if he sensed her thoughts, but he immediately replied, Sister, hold on, after the 50 levels, the system will rank the open parts, and then you can check your level. Oh, will she care? Do you still need to care about it then? After 50 levels, she will definitely not be in the lead. Sister, the fairy tale part is relatively the easiest to clear, so everyone has accumulated more initial bonuses and points, but as the level of clearance increases, the difficulty will also increase slightly. My sister's advantage is not here, the safety level, just get over it. Thank you. After resting for a while, Taoran stood up to challenge again. This level is indeed not her strong point. Her imagination is not very good, and she has no reasoning power, so she only has a stupid way, which is to find a way to draw all the lines one by one. When my eyesight gets dazzled, I take a break, sleep, practice, and continue painting. Anyway, no time limit. 2 days later, the answer she entered was finally recognized by the system as the nearest line. Who would have thought that it would take her so long to complete such a test? This is all thanks to her strong mental power, which allows her to freeze the picture again and again, otherwise it would take 3 to 5 days. Level 40, Rest Level. This time, like before, it was an illusion again. It was still a villa, but this time, after opening the door, Taoran saw Granny Hua. She subconsciously went up and hugged her mother-in-law. Grandma Hua has already cooked a table full of dishes. Shanshan was also there. When she saw her coming back, she gathered around her and chatted, saying that they would have a good time together tonight and would not go home until they were drunk. It turned out that it was New Year's Eve, and it was Shanshan who took Granny Hua from the nursing home to be with Taoran. After drinking a bowl of soup, Taoran joined Granny Hua and helped make dumplings. Granny Hua, of course, we haven't had a reunion dinner for a long time. Tonight, let's stay up together and watch the Spring Festival Gala together. Taoran's dumpling making hand paused. After squeezing the dumpling, she stood up. How should I watch the Spring Festival Gala? Since it is New Year's Eve, don't I have to attend the Spring Festival Gala live broadcast? Granny Hua was stunned for a moment, then she laughed. Isn't this Shanshan here? It's still early now, she will send you to the TV station later. Silly child, sit down quickly, let's make dumplings first, you will have to do it soon. Post a Spring Festival couplet for my mother-in-law. Shanshan also nodded repeatedly to pull her. Taoran grabbed Shanshan with his backhand. Shanshan, haven't you gone back to your hometown? I remember you went back 3 days ago. Isn't your mother in bad health? Aren't you going to ask your cousin to go to the mountains to do things? What are you doing? Maybe here. Taoran looked at Granny Hua again. Grandma, my Spring Festival Gala is opening, and I should be waiting at the venue now. It's impossible for you to still be at home. Moreover, without my phone authorization and my signature, Shanshan can't remove you from the show. Take him out from the nursing home. This illusion has too many loopholes. Although Taoran is very sentimental, she is also very sober. But, Taoran hugged Granny Hua, thank you for giving me this illusion. Remind me that even to take care of Granny Hua, I must get out of this game and get a good ranking. The illusion was shattered. Taoran returned to the 40th floor platform with his hands empty. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 895. Taoran rushed to the 41st floor. This floor is actually a supply station that has not been seen on the 30 floors. Great thing. Taoran observed carefully. There was a dragon mother guarding the supply depot before. I wonder if there is a mission this time. Turns out she saw a robot. How to play, Taoran was straightforward. Hide and seek, I didn't expect this to be the reply from the robot. Upon hearing the rules, Taoran breathed a sigh of relief. The player is the hiding party, and the robot is the shooting party. Within 90 seconds, the fewer times the player is shot, the better. If the player is shot 10 times or more, the player will be disqualified from supplying supplies. The better the player's performance, the better qualifications for more supplies. After the rules came out, Taoran and the robot entered a virtual space. Finally, this time it was what Taoran was good at. But 5 seconds into the game, she was shot. The robot has a variety of sensing systems and almost no delay, so it can basically capture all her traces immediately. In the 9th second, she was shot again. However, she also found a pattern. The robot's shooting has a blind spot. As long as she is fast enough and stays in the blind spot, the opponent can't do anything to her. Taoran spent the next 80 seconds smoothly. Game over. If the player is shot twice, he can get 8 regular priced items from the selected supply station for free and exchange them for 8 random items at half price. Taoran took advantage of the free opportunity to get some medicine to stop bleeding, reduce inflammation and bruises, and quickly exchanged some food, drinks, and clothes at half price before leaving. After spending hundreds of points, looking at the remaining points, she barely had 5,000 points left. Next, there will be 8 levels she hates. Even after a long period of psychological construction, she still had a headache. Level 42 is a snake-shaped answer question. Game chess kind. The question types are diverse and cover a wide range of contents. From ancient times to the present, from literature to martial arts, from easy to difficult. Half are multiple choice questions, 30% are true and false questions, and the remaining 20% are more difficult quiz questions. The rules are simple. If you get the answer right, you can roll the dice and move forward. If you get the answer wrong, you can go back to the starting point. If you are lucky, you can fly a long distance. If you are unlucky, you may hit the tail of the snake and slide down a lot even if you are near the end. The only advantage is that if you encounter a question you don't know, you can skip it by paying points. But in the same game, you only need to pay 10 points for the first skip, 100 points for the second time, and 1000 points for the third time. Taoran looked at her points. She didn't know if she could successfully pass this level before becoming pauper. The final answer came naturally. The price is not small either. She doesn't have many points and her ability to answer questions is not good enough. Naturally, she can't use her points easily. She would rather try again and again. She still has patience. She didn't believe it. All the questions she encountered were questions she didn't know. She didn't believe it even more, she couldn't touch a few more dead mice at once. In the first 30 minutes, Taoran returned to the starting point 12 times. During the second 30 minutes, she returned to the starting point 10 times. In the third 30 minutes, she was returned to the starting point 9 times. In short, there is progress, and she goes further every time. Grind it. She is not afraid. 3 hours passed, and she still hadn't used a single point. Anyway, she couldn't make it more than half the distance the furthest time. Why should she waste points? 5 hours later, she finally reached the last 15 squares twice. But that's all. Another 2 hours passed, and she finally used up 110 points. And her system actually dinged. Taoran didn't expect that there would be an honor here. She became the first person in the entire game to try a single task 100 times. She got a gift bag. Click on it to get 500 points and a 3% luck bonus. She rested for an hour and started completing tasks again. Half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, I don't know whether it was because of this bonus or because the system was getting annoyed, or because the system was slowly being impressed by her, but her luck had obviously improved. 4 questions she doesn't know, the chance of getting it right is at least half. Another half hour later, she was able to walk 2/3 of the distance almost every time. Soon she had her first near success. She only missed 3 steps to the finish line before returning to the starting point. Unfortunately, she had already used her points to buy 3 questions. She doesn't have enough points to buy another question. Taoran was annoyed, but he didn't show it on his face and patiently pressed the start button again. Just like that, gritting my teeth. There is no elimination at this level. She didn't believe that the system would never get tired of dealing with her. Even if she wasn't tired of it, she didn't believe that the big guys behind the system wouldn't be tired of it. She didn't believe that this game system would continue to frustrate her to the end. After another hour of sleep, Taoran was full of energy and started the challenge. Soon, she became the person who had challenged this level 200 and 300 times. Not long after, she finally completed the task after spending 2,220 minutes and wasting 2 days and 1 night. On the platform of the 42nd floor, she leaned directly on the stairs. Oh my God! She is so tired. My body is tired, my brain is tired, and my heart is even more tired. God knows how much effort she put into suppressing her anger and impatience that would explode from time to time. Return to the starting point more than 300 times and start over. Who can? She even thought just now that if she couldn't pass this level in 2 days, she might only consider using points to continue the lottery, and try her best to extract a pass card fragment to synthesize a gold card to pass this level. Not bad, not bad, hold on. Tao Ran rested for a full hour before continuing up. While she was resting, 3 people passed level 42 and passed by her. Why? Judging from the people coming and going, it was obvious that too much time was wasted in this level and the space gap, so her current position is definitely no longer in the lead. She went to say hello to the 3 people in a familiar manner. One ignored her. But the other 2, front and rear, did say a few words to her. Tao Ran was greatly shocked after hearing this. Of these 2, one spent an hour to pass level 42, and the other spent 4 hours, hanging his head in frustration and saying that he was useless. Tao Ran didn't want to answer the call. If it's useless to pass the test in 4 hours, then wouldn't I be worse than garbage? What about you, friend? How long will it take? They asked. Me, Tao Ran raised his neck. She spent 2 days and 1 night. She raised her fingers, made a 2 and a 1, and then laughed. 21 hours. 21 minutes. She looked proud. He said I was the fastest so far, and he gave me a treasure chest that gave me 500 points. Tao Ran was serious and opened his mouth. When a movie queen comes out, as long as she dares to speak and act, she will naturally be very convincing, and there will be nothing the audience can't believe. Wow, my friends are amazing, the 2 people's eyes almost popped out of envy. Needless to say, my friend, you must be a powerful person. You are the only girl I have ever seen who has reached more than 40 floors. You are also the most carefree player I have ever seen. This girl just casually fell down on the platform to rest. If she wasn't so talented and didn't take other players seriously, how could she have such a big heart? It's easy to say, it's just a fluke. It's nothing. Then, if there is a chance, if there is a team mission later, let's form a team, the 2 asked weakly. Tao Ran's smile turned bright. She said so much, but this was what she was waiting for. What you want? It's easy to form a team, but it's true to make friends. Friends, what do you call them? The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 896. Tao Ran doesn't have social anxiety. She is so enthusiastic, she really wants to find friends. Think about it, these levels are in the science category, and she is just a newbie. It is necessary to win allies. Just now it was all individual tasks, sooner or later there will have to be team tasks, right? She just wanted to take advantage of it. Tao Ran felt a little more at ease and walked up to the 43rd floor while chatting with his new friend Xiaoping Ace Hong. The 3 agreed that if the next level is a team game, they will play together. If the next level is not, then if there is a team in the next few levels, they will also wait for each other to promote cooperation. She was really lucky. Level 43 is a team game. A team of 3 is required. At the game entrance, the man who had ignored Tao Ran before was waiting for someone to form a team. Xiaoping Ace Hong rejected his invitation and entered the game area with Tao Ran. After taking a closer look at the rules of the game, Tao Ran felt even more fortunate. This level is about completing the Warong Road Challenge in a limited time relay. Each person takes 5 steps, and the next person relays the answer. Until the entire game is completed. The difficulty lies in the separation of the answering area and the waiting area. The person answering the question must go to the display screen to know the previous player's problem-solving ideas, and then continue to answer according to the previous player's idea. If the challenge of this level is not completed within 3 opportunities, the player will drop to the previous level. Taoran suddenly shook his head. No. She never wanted to play a trivia game again in her life. But, Hwarongdeo, she also knew almost nothing. Friends, how are you playing Hwarongtao? She preemptively struck. Well enough. That's good, Taoran smiled. No, it won't stop her from paddling. The 3 of them had a small meeting. Xiaoping and Ajone briefly discussed their thoughts and ideas. Taoran nodded and repeatedly expressed that she thought it was okay, so that was it. When the challenge started, Taoran took the lead. It's better to move first, it doesn't matter, you have to move, right? So she went up and moved the panel a few steps at will, leaving the scene to the 2 people behind. Of course, she ran aggressively and looked like she was working hard. Xiaoping, who was behind her, frowned and thought for 2 seconds after entering the stage, and then started to move. When Ajone went up, he obviously caught up with Xiaoping's idea and continued to answer questions without thinking. When it came to Taoran, she couldn't understand it. Afraid of breaking their plan, she moved the board that Aizhong had just moved last 5 times, almost in its original position, left rightward arrow right rightward arrow left rightward arrow right rightward arrow left. Xiaoping, who took over, no longer frowned. It was obvious that the current situation on the board was consistent with his solution, and he immediately began to move the panel to answer the question. He was just a little surprised. The 2 people had just walked down. Why did it feel like they had only taken 5 or 6 steps? When Ajone went up, he also felt that the board was good, but the progress was a bit slow. Taoran's method of answering the questions remained the same from beginning to end. It was just paddling, choose a piece, move it left and right or up and down 5 times, and then replace it with another person to take over. All she could do was run as fast as possible to give the more people there are, the more time they have to answer questions. This will hurt Ajone and Xiaoping. In order to end the game within the stipulated time, they ran again and again. They felt more and more that this was not like a 3-person relay. Based on the fact that 3 people can walk 15 steps in 1 round, the Hwarong Road must have been completed. But why are they still running? In the end, their Hwarongtao game was almost completed at the last second. After Ajone and Xiaoping muttered a few words to share their game experiences and quirks, their expressions changed when they looked at Taoran. Those 4 burning eyes. Taoran could only use a silly and sweet smile to resolve this embarrassing embarrassment. No matter what, you got through this safely, right? However, Taoran still lost these 2 new friends. The 2 men said the next sentence together. Liar! Stay away from us. You almost killed me. Better not let me see you again. Afterwards, the 2 left bitterly. Taoran hissed. People nowadays have such a big temper. If you are willing to gamble, you have to risk losing, right? Soon we arrived at the 44th floor. How else to say that 4 is a lucky number? Taoran found that his good luck had come. In the fantasy world, the flowers everywhere finally made people feel happy for once. After that, the illusion disappeared, allowing them to recall the location of the designated flowers, modulate the colors of those flowers, and draw them at the same location. So the test is about color sensitivity and memory. The system only gave them the basic 3 primary colors. This level will be twice as difficult as long as your eyesight is poor. But it was not difficult for Taoran. Just kidding, female celebrities, do you have good basic qualities? She is already very skilled in colors and combinations, and with the mental energy to pay attention to the details, she easily passed this level. Her standout mate Ace Hong and Xiaoping in the same examination room look constipated and confused. So, is this woman good or bad? Isn't it just in front of them? Did she do it on purpose? Tao Ran was generous. Just as he was about to step forward, he got double looks. Well, the friendship fell apart, forget it. She made a fist and went straight to the 45th floor. This test is about physics. The system explained a lot of mechanical principles that Tao Ran couldn't understand, and then asked them to use their own calculation results to find a suitable arrow for a crossbow and hit the target on the opposite side. Tao Ran had a question mark on his head. Calculate. Is it worth it? She doesn't know how to calculate, but she has a way of knowing the answer. All she had to do was weigh the arrow in her hand, observe it, feel it on the crossbow, and then rely on intuition to choose the matching arrow. As for shooting, what she is good at is naturally hitting the target with one arrow. Level 46 tests observation and memory. After 3 minutes of observing a picture, she was asked to eat and drink, and played music to relax, and then they were asked to find the difference between the picture in a real-life space and that of the previous picture. She has a good memory, which is almost tailor-made, and she once again passed easily. Level 47 is a fantasy world, allowing players to use limited tools to find a way to bring a large animal weighing 300 kilograms from the bottom of a cliff to the top of the mountain. Originally, this test was about physics, allowing players to reasonably utilize the coordination of various forces to achieve their goals. But here with Tao Ran, this is a test of courage and common sense. She tied the wire that she made at the animal in 15 minutes, and then relied on her experience and skills to achieve her goal after spending several hours. In this way, she successfully passed these tests. She got good grades and caught up with several people along the way. I originally thought that with 2 more levels, this science category would be successfully concluded. But level 48 put her in trouble again. This level is a 1v1 challenge to hundreds of science questions. When Tao Ran entered the space, there were already players waiting for her. When the player saw that the person coming was a woman, he smiled so hard that Tao Ran was very unhappy. When he saw Tao Ran's stinky face, the player almost wrote the word "sure win" on his forehead.